I am delighted to introduce our first speaker, Mona Brash. Mona has lived on the Saanich Peninsula since 1986. She has seen local politics in all 3 municipalities. The focus of her master's program was local government and politics. She has taught political science at UVic, Camosun College, and on the Esquimalt Naval Base. She's just finished teaching a course in local politics and government to 35 students at Camosun who were surprised at how important local government is. So, Mona, her topic is the legal framework and rules governing local government elections.
Is that all right? Hope so. All right, thank you, Jocelyn. So first of all, in terms of the legal framework, the Constitution of Canada, which is the supreme law of Canada, states that municipalities are the exclusive jurisdiction of the provinces. Therefore, provincial legislation determines the rules for local elections, and we have the Local Government Act. So I'm going to talk about key dates, candidates in terms of financing and who can run, and then about voting. So first of all, general voting day has changed this year. It's no longer November, it's now Saturday, October 20th, and we will have advanced polls on the 10th and the 18th. Nomination packages for people who want to run are available online on July 27th with Sydney Municipal Hall, or you can go pick them up. Those nomination forms must be submitted by September 14th at 4 o'clock, and if you're in at 4:05, too bad, according to Sandy Nelson. Then we have to wait for her to declare who the candidates are. So until she declares, we do not know who's running. Even if they've said they're running now, that doesn't mean they are. And lots of people may be running, and you have no idea that they're going to run until she announces it. So that will be a very exciting day. To be a candidate, you have to be 18 years of age or older on voting day, a Canadian citizen, have lived in BC for at least 6 months, and you do not have to live in the municipalities in which you choose to run. There are many new financial regulations that are going to impact candidates this year. So Heather has the booklet, 91 pages just for the financial rules now. It's quite complex, but we'll try and distill it for you. Now there are limits on how much a candidate's allowed to spend during an election. And so from September 22nd till October 20th, election day, in Sydney, mayoralty candidates are allowed to spend $11,349. And that's it. Councillor candidates can spend $5,674.50 and no more. All right, so we will be watching. For comparison purposes, last election, the mayoralty candidates spent from $9,000 up to $13.3 thousand. So it's not going to be that different. Stu Young, I love this one. Stu Young, Mayor of Langford, spent $6.04 in his last campaign. Do you know why? He had to open a bank account, and he was ticked that he had to spend $6.04. All right? What's going to be very different of donation rules is that in the last election, the mayoralty candidates had business donations. And this year, no businesses are allowed to donate and no unions can donate. What's very fun when you start digging into the weeds of these donations is that many businesses and individuals donated to multiple candidates. And the candidates wouldn't have known that until after the election when they looked to see who donated. The same with individual donations. Comparison purposes, in Victoria they're going to get to spend $54,000 if they're a mayoralty candidate. Vancouver $210,000 if you're a mayoralty candidate. Surrey $195,000. So we don't spend a lot here. To donate, there are rules about who is allowed to donate. Donations can only come from individuals. No unions, no businesses. You have to be a resident of BC and a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. Therefore, you do not have to be a resident of Sydney to donate. You only donate up to $1,200 per year to a candidate. In terms of voters then, The Local Government Act allows for municipalities to decide about identification, whether they require it or not. And Sydney is going to require that you have ID, so do show up with good ID, 2 pieces of ID. To vote, you have to be 18 or older on voting day, Canadian citizen, have lived in BC for 6 months prior to when you register. And here's where it's different. You have to have been a resident of the town of Sydney for at least 30 days. In terms of third-party advertising, which doesn't sound like it's going to happen, this is when somebody who's not associated with the campaign advertises for or against a candidate or an electoral organization who's running a slate. If anybody here is thinking of advertising for a candidate, you must register with Elections BC, and you may not spend more than $750 in Sydney. If you are going to advertise, you've got deep pockets and you're advertising around the whole province, you can spend $150,000. In terms of Sydney, I don't know of any groups that are going to be doing this, but I caution everybody to watch out for AstroTurf groups. These are not grassroots groups. These are ones who might spring out in the last week or two that nobody ever heard of. Make sure they've registered and that they're legal. And if they're not, so you scream and yell that they're not. All right? What's different about Sydney, they are going to allow mail-in ballots that must be received by October 19th for people who are either ill, disability and injury, or have to be out of town. And I think that's my 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mona.